The film opens in a busy Los Angeles shopping mall. Detective John Kimble moves through the crowd, scanning the area. At the same time, a young woman named Cindy is nervously talking to a man named Danny in a low-lit corridor. She warns him to ask for at least $1,000 from Cullen Crisp for the information they have, but Danny is worried they will not get that much. Danny tells her to stay hidden because Crisp believes he came alone. Cullen Crisp walks to the meeting point, greets Danny, and demands to know about his family. Danny tries to negotiate, while Cindy watches secretly from a distance. Crisp pretends to be patient, asking Danny to tell him everything. Danny explains that he recently saw Crisp's ex-wife, Rachel, living in Astoria, Oregon, and the boy she was with is Crisp's son. Crisp asks Danny if he told anyone else, which Danny denies. Crisp pulls out a gun and shoots Danny twice at close range without warning. Danny collapses, gasping for breath, as Cindy watches in horror from her hiding place. Crisp leaves Danny bleeding on the ground, throws his gun in a truck, and runs away. Cindy panics and realizes he is dead. Soon, Detective Kimble arrives at the scene, sees the dead body, and handcuffs Cindy with it, ensuring she stays at the scene as a witness. Then, he steps outside to search for Crisp, who has already vanished, setting the stage for the manhunt. Next, we see Crisp relax in a salon with his mother, boasting about finally locating his ex-wife and son. She criticizes his choices, warning him not to exaggerate, but Crisp remains confident and carefree, even asking for a manicure. Suddenly, Detective John Kimble bursts in, gun drawn, and orders Crisp to put his hands on his head. Crisp pretends to be the victim, protesting loudly, but Kimble arrests him for murder, announcing there's a witness this time. Officers move in to secure him despite his attempts to act innocent. At the station, Cindy sits angrily with Detective Phoebe O'Hara, yelling about being handcuffed to a dead man. O'Hara questions her about Rachel's identity, but Cindy refuses to cooperate, insisting she wants to go home. O'Hara offers to drive her and even cook her dinner if she helps, but Cindy refuses to participate in any lineup. By hearing this, Kimble gets frustrated. After 4 years of chasing Crisp, he is facing the loss of a key witness. He vows to do whatever it takes to get Cindy to testify. He must convince Cindy to point at Crisp if justice is to be served. Kimble tracks Cindy to a nightclub, but is denied entry by a bouncer. Frustrated, he pounds on the door, then fires his gun into the air to scatter the crowd before kicking it open. Inside, chaos erupts. Then he approaches Cindy, who glares at him in shock and calmly greets her, asking her to sit. He says he likes her and will be around constantly, ignoring her protests. Cindy panics, but Kimble insists he won't leave until she cooperates. Back at the station, Cindy identifies Crisp in a lineup. In court, the judge remanded Crisp in custody until trial, denying bail. Whispering to his mother, Crisp hints at a plan, and she subtly confirms her understanding. Later, in the interrogation room, Kimble pressures Crisp to reveal his drug network. Crisp deflects.
You think the jury's gonna convict me on the testimony of that junkie?
Kimble counters with the threat of Crisp's wife testifying and the stolen $3 million.
But what about your wife? Remember her? How much was it? $3 million?
Crisp taunts Kimble about his personal life, promising freedom while Kimble remains alone and frustrated. Kimble and Phoebe are soon ordered to fly to Portland.
You two are booked on the first flight out to Portland tomorrow morning.
Phoebe will go undercover as a substitute kindergarten teacher, while Kimble locates Crisp's wife and the stolen cash. On the plane, Phoebe briefs him on Rachel Myatt and her son, Cullen Jr.
Cullen Jr., age 3 months.
After arriving at the airport, Kimble and Phoebe drive to Astoria, but Phoebe quickly becomes sick from all the food she ate, vomiting repeatedly along the way. Kimble patiently helps her and gets her settled at their hotel. The next morning, Phoebe wakes up and is still tired, struggling to recover.
I'll be ready in just a minute.
While Kimble is ready to continue their mission. Seeing her weakness, he decides to take over her role. Instead of Phoebe going to the school, Kimble steps in as the kindergarten teacher, preparing to handle the 6-year-olds himself and carry out their assignment, determined and focused on the task ahead. Kimble arrives at the school and waits to meet the principal. While waiting, he notices a female teacher talking to a student. The receptionist calls him in, and he meets the principal, who is cautious about Kimble replacing the regular kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Hagley. Though she can't reveal details, Kimble reassures her that he has teaching experience. Once in the classroom, he meets the energetic 6-year-olds, introducing himself as their new kindergarten teacher. The children are curious and ask questions about their missing teacher.
Where'd she go?
That doesn't matter.
A student then asks to go to the bathroom but struggles with clothing. Kimble steps out to find the female teacher from the principal's office, who helps the kid. Returning to the classroom, Kimble sees total chaos. Children throwing toys, shouting, and overturning furniture. Panicked, he runs outside to his car, retrieves his ferret, and brings it back as the class mascot. Showing the ferret to the children instantly captures their attention and excitement. The kids gather around, calmer and more focused, giving Kimble the control he needs. With the classroom settled and the children engaged, he begins his first day successfully as their new kindergarten teacher, taking over from Phoebe. The next day, the mothers of the students gossip about the new male kindergarten teacher.
A male kindergarten teacher is just not what I'm used to.
When Kimble arrived, all the ladies couldn't stop looking at him. A mother hides her face, embarrassed about her makeup.
I don't want him to see me without my makeup.
In the class, Jillian, Sylvester's mom, is waiting for Kimble. She explains Sylvester has been acting strangely, playing with girls' toys. Kimble tells her that Sylvester uses the doll to peek under a girl's skirt and that she has nothing to worry about. Then a kid shows up asking Kimble if he is married. When he says he's not, the kid runs outside and screams to her mom that he is not married. Clearly, his mom sent him to ask that question. Wanting to move the class toward his real mission, he gathers the kids together and announces a new game called Who is My Daddy and What Does He Do?
What I meant was, you tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
The students respond with a series of funny and sometimes awkward answers about their father's jobs, ranging from mechanics and taxi drivers to a gynecologist, and even a real sex machine. Kimble tries to keep track, hoping one answer might point him to Cullen Crisp's hidden child. When one boy, Zach, isolates himself, the other kids begin mocking him, chanting insults. Kimble attempts to gently involve Zach, asking if his father taught him this game, but Zach yells at him to leave him alone.
Did your daddy teach you this game?
Leave me alone!
Suddenly, the fire alarm rings loudly. Chaos breaks out as the kids scream and run in panic. Kimble quickly takes charge, shouting over the noise, even carrying a couple of frightened children as he ushers the class outside. He manages to group them together, keeping order. Once outside, the principal times the drill and announces that the kindergarten class was the slowest, arriving last after 4 minutes.
4 minutes? You should be ashamed of yourselves.
She looks disappointed and scolds the younger children, making it clear she expects better. Later, Kimble tries to speak with the mother of a boy he suspects could be Crisp's child, but she ignores him and quickly drives away. Kimble tells Phoebe he believes Zach Sullivan may be Cullen Crisp's child, showing her the boy's picture. Phoebe listens half-heartedly, more interested in finding a meal than discussing the case. As they arrive at a restaurant, Dominic, one of Kimble's students, suddenly appears. He excitedly points Kimble out to his mother, Joyce, the female teacher from the principal's office. Kimble greets her warmly, and Dominic proudly tells her how much he likes his new teacher. When Joyce asks about Phoebe, she pretends to be Kimble's Austrian sister, Ursula. Kimble looks uneasy, but Phoebe takes the role in stride, charming Joyce while piling up a large order of food. Joyce politely chats with Kimble, asking him why he chose to become a kindergarten teacher. He gives an improvised explanation about his family's teaching tradition. After a pleasant dinner, she thanks them and leaves with Dominic. Outside, Phoebe teases Kimble about Joyce, but he denies personal interest. She accuses him of hiding feelings, while he defensively reminds her that it's hard to handle the class and admits that the children overwhelm him. Phoebe advises him to face them like a police case, show no fear. Kimble decides to take control of his unruly class by introducing police-style discipline. He blows his whistle, drills them into lines, and has them march in rhythm around the classroom. At first clumsy, the children quickly adapt, enjoying the order and chanting together with pride. For the first time, the chaos of the kindergarten feels under control. Afterward, Kimble softens the atmosphere by giving them milk and reading a bedtime story, the same one he once read to his own son. As the children drift into naps, Kimble dozes too, but a disturbing nightmare wakes him. He sees Joyce, impressed by his methods. She asks him to join her for dinner next evening. Back at the hotel, Kimble bursts into Phoebe's room, startled to find her with a man. He assumes the worst until she introduces Henry, her fiancé, a chef who has arrived to surprise her for her birthday. Kimble congratulates them, then leaves the couple to celebrate. Later, Phoebe helps him select wine for his dinner with Joyce. The next morning, Kimble approaches Zach's mother, thinking she might be Crisp's wife and that Zach is his son. She misunderstands his intent, assuming he's there about Zach's bruises. Before Kimble can speak, she admits her husband can be violent and sometimes hits Zach, but he's seeking counseling, and she begs Kimble not to report him.
You won't say anything, will you?
Hearing this, Kimble realizes she isn't Crisp's wife, but keeps it to himself, acting as if he came for the same concern. He quietly warns her that if Zach ever has bruises again, he will report it to the police. Meanwhile, Cindy is seen secretly buying drugs from a vendor. unaware that he got the drugs from Crisp's mother. Kimble visits Joyce's home, enjoys dinner, then quietly looks for evidence. He strongly suspects Joyce may be Crisp's missing wife. Dominic unexpectedly catches him snooping, forcing Kimble to cover awkwardly.
What you doing in there?
I'm lost.
Back at the table, Joyce admits she left a controlling husband and has raised Dominic alone. Kimble, reflecting on his own broken marriage, shares honestly. Their candor creates a warm connection, leaving Kimble conflicted, torn between duty and deepening feelings for her. Later, Phoebe reports to Kimble that Joyce's story checks out. Her house belongs to a seasonal visitor, and Joyce's finances are meager, with less than $1,000 in the bank. Phoebe insists Joyce isn't living like a millionaire. Kimble disagrees, ordering her to check offshore accounts. Phoebe warns that maybe Joyce isn't the one they are looking for, but Kimble insists. She challenges him, saying he wants it to be her because he likes her, and it scares him. Outside, Kimble trains the kids again, and Joyce arrives. She thanks him for being a good listener last night and says she'll see him tomorrow at the fair. As he smiles, the kids giggle at his obvious affection.
I was just talking to the teacher, that's all.
Later, Zach's mother shows up late, explaining that the car wouldn't start. She kisses her son, but Kimble notices fresh bruises on Zach. When she claims he fell down again, Kimble presses harder. She stammers excuses, but he calls her out, warning her he doesn't believe her story. Outside, Kimble confronts Zach's father at the car. He growls that if the man hits his kid, he'll hit him. The father snaps back, but Kimble punches him and stops as people are looking at them. As he walks away, the father yells that he'll press charges. Summoned to the principal's office, Kimble is scolded for his lack of teaching credentials. She accuses him of outrageous methods like introducing a ferret and blowing a whistle, but she admits that the children responded well. Finally, she tells him that whatever kind of cop he is, he's a very good teacher. When she asks what it felt like to hit Zach's father, Kimble says, "It felt great." Meanwhile, in California, Cindy is found dead from an overdose. Salazar angrily declares their case has collapsed. Without her testimony, Crisp will walk. He orders his men to bring Kimble and Phoebe back. Crisp is released from jail and reunites with his mother. Back in Astoria, the kids perform their play, and Kimble receives a standing ovation. The principal introduces him as their kindergarten teacher, hoping he will stay.
I'd like to introduce you to our kindergarten teacher.
At the same time, Crisp and his mother arrive in town, preparing for their next move. Back at the school, Kimble knows he must protect Joyce and Dominic in case Cullen Crisp shows up. He brings Phoebe with him and asks her to take charge of the kindergarten class while he stays nearby. He reassures Joyce that everything will be fine, explaining that he and Phoebe will be right across the hall. Phoebe enters the classroom and is immediately met with the same chaotic enthusiasm that Kimble had faced on his first day. The children shout, laugh, and run around until she blows the whistle to restore order. She begins a lesson on safety, emphasizing never talking to strangers. The children ask their usual silly questions, but Phoebe patiently guides them, repeating the rule together. Kimble smiles, impressed at her calm and firm handling of the class. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, a man named Mr. Green arrives for an interview, claiming interest in enrolling his child. Miss Schlowski takes him on a tour, without knowing that he is Cullen Crisp. Passing the kindergarten classroom, Crisp peers through the glass, spotting Dominic playing happily. Just as he spots Kimble, he hides quickly, then continues the tour without arousing suspicion. Later, he reports back to his mother, confirming what he saw.
Did you see Cullen Jr.?
Yeah.
Crisp sets the library on fire. The fire alarm turns on, and Kimble initially assumes it is a drill, but as thick smoke fills the hall, he and Phoebe act quickly, guiding kids toward the exit. In the chaos, Dominic slips away, and Crisp lures him upstairs. When Kimble notices, he rushes through the smoke-filled building, searching desperately. Crisp reveals his identity to Dominic, who refuses to believe him, and cries for help. Outside, Phoebe is stopped by firefighters, but finds another way back in. Crisp's mother sees her and hits her with her car. Phoebe collapses, and the mother picks up her gun. Inside, Joyce sees Crisp holding Dominic as a human shield. Kimble arrives and is forced to put his gun down, but when Crisp prepares to fire, the ferret that Dominic was carrying all this time bites him. Crisp fires, wounding Kimble in the leg. Kimble recovers and shoots Crisp, killing him instantly. Crisp's mother then appears and shoots Kimble in the shoulder. As she confronts him and asks him the whereabouts of Dominic, Phoebe strikes her hand with a baseball bat, knocking her out. Both mother and son are now down. Later, paramedics rush Kimble to the hospital. Joyce visits him in the hospital and kisses him. Finally, Kimble returns to the classroom, greeted by the children's cheers. He smiles at them, standing once more at the front of the room he has grown to love, surrounded by the noise and energy of the class.